Hello friends, today we'll see this much awaited video of mine in which we will see that there is a tertiary cataract or cataract in an IOL. Now this lens opacification has been described in literature and two forms have been recognized, one is glistening and other is calcification. Now we had this patient who has been operated 2 years back with a significant opacity in the lens, and this was a hydrophilic monofocal lens from one of the companies where it was reported that this has been occurring quite commonly with these lenses. So we plan to remove this IOL and exchange it with a fresh IOL, intracameral lignocaine. The temporal approach was selected because patient had against the rule astigmatism also, putting some viscoelastic behind the IOL to separate the posterior capsule. And I must tell you that YAG laser capsulotomy has been attempted to clear the PCO, and here we are trying to free the haptics from the capsular bag because it was stuck there. And as you can see, it's a Rayner design of haptic which is having a fenestration in the haptic. The posterior capsule and the anterior capsule have got stuck in that space. It was not possible to free the IOL. So we had to decide to truncate the haptic from the optics and free the optical part and leave behind the haptics. So this is the temporal haptic which is being truncated using a 1/2 scissor with the help of a dialer, and I had to make another incision to approach the nasal haptic. Similarly, once we had a reasonable approach to the haptic, a 1/2 scissor was again used with help of a dialer to stabilize the IOL and to provide counter support, and the haptic was truncated using this 1/2 scissor. Care was taken not to damage any part of the remaining capsule so that we could implant a PCIOL in the sulcus. Because this IOL couldn't be twisted, it was calcified and very hard, so we had to enlarge the incision, and holding the optics which has been detached from the haptics, we were able to explant it using a 5.1 mm incision. It was a tight fit, but the IOL came out by that incision which is 1.5 mm in size. The IOL was totally calcified, and then we proceeded for anterior vitrectomy because there was a YAG laser opening through which some vitreous had prolapsed out. Once the vitreous was cleared, a hydrophobic monofocal IOL was implanted in the sulcus, as we can see the proceeding. And it's important to take care that the leading haptic goes directly into the sulcus, otherwise this leading haptic, if it prolapses into the YAG capsular opening, then the IOL may dislocate into the vitreous cavity. The leading haptic has been placed in the sulcus and the trailing haptic is being dialed. Now frequently it is said that 3-piece IOL should be implanted in the sulcus, but I have been using these hydrophobic monofocal IOLs and implanting them in sulcus without any unwanted effects for quite some time. So for me this is maybe a debatable issue. The wound were hydrated, and now we have 3 wounds here, 1 side port and 2 main incisions. Air bubble was kept in place just to inflate the anterior chamber, and the surgery was accomplished. This is the explanted IOL, which we can see has lot of calcification in the central optic part and part of the peripheral zone. These are some YAG laser pittings which are seen, and this is the other side of the IOL where we can see the anterior surface. This was the picture of the patient. The next post-op day, we can see a clear cornea, formed anterior chamber, IOL which is nicely in place. So this was the original picture, and we were able to restore this eye to its normal beauty, and the post-op vision the next day was 6/18. It was a nice experience for me to handle this kind of situation. Thanks.